12 minutes past 2 o'clock. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon today. It's time for The Violated this beautiful afternoon. Okay. On the program today, I am being joined actually by Ayanola Yinka. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for bringing me in.
Okay, so on The Violated, if you're joining us for the first time, The Violated is one program that focuses on all kinds of domestic abuse, sexual abuse to children, or all kinds of abuses though, and in relationships, whether from parents to children or, from, couples, partners, one to the other. These are the issues that we like to look at and focus on The Violated. So today on the program, we'll be talking about child abuse, the effects of child abuse on these people when they are now grown-ups. Okay. That's the area we're going to be looking at it from. What happens when, these people, they call them child abuse survivors, yeah? What happens when they're now adults and somehow it's like the past continues to haunt them. But before we, get deep into it, let's have a clear picture of what constitutes child abuse.
Thank you very much. As you all know, my name is Ayanola. We're talking about child abuse today, and there are different forms of child abuses. And most people actually have the opinion that it's when you spank a child or when you beat a child, that's what is called actually physical abuses, and that's what constitutes as child abuse. But then we've got different forms of abuses, that's related to children. One of it is the physical abuse, and we have the sexual abuse. We also have the emotional abuse, and we have the child neglect.
Okay.
And I know that, let me break it down. When we talk about physical abuses, and that's when we talk about when you eat your child with a rod on the head, when you beat them anyhow and they've got marks all over their body.
Especially in Africa, we hardly discipline without ensuring, getting all physical and hitting and beating.
I had my own share of it.
Really?
I remember one day my dad beat me so bad. What did I do? Well, he came home and said he was sick and he was feeling tired. That's all he told us. And we were on holiday and we were playing football downstairs, myself and my brothers. And then he called and he goes, Tola, calling our names on one after the other like that. And we came upstairs and says, "You guys are disturbing me. I told you guys I'm trying to sleep. I just came from work. I'm trying to sleep. You better get out of there and stop playing football over there." We came upstairs and now we thought to ourselves, okay, we can actually play the football in front of the house instead of the back of the house. So we moved to the front of the house, started playing the football there. And then I think he wanted water, and started calling our names, and we could not hear him.
Wow.
Came out and saw us play ball together. Go, God, you this children I told not to play ball.
You're still playing ball.
All of you come upstairs. You will not eat today. There's no dinner for all of you. And then while I was sitting down in the living room, he got the water, went back to his room, and my elder brother thought to himself. And I said to us, "Wait, Daddy already said we're not going to have dinner. Why don't we go and enjoy our football?"
Going back to what you've been...
Since we're going to lose the dinner, let's go back to our football. So we left and went outside of the compound to the street and called our neighbors to join us. So we had more group of people and we're playing. And after about 30 minutes, I think he came out and saw us on the street playing ball. And that day he called us in, told us, go and take a shower, come back from the bathroom with only your panties. We're little. We laid down, told us to lie down on the floor. This guy was really sick. He took his car, drove out, and went to buy pankere. I don't know if you know what pankere.
Can you use another word for it? There's no other word.
What other word would I call pankere? Pankere is this very smooth-looking canes that they use.
Is it the type they use animal skin to make?
No, not that one. This one is a stick.
Okay, I have no idea.
It's very, very smooth. And he bought 3. And then he told us that day, "I won't stop beating you until these things break." And those things don't break easily, right?
Did they eventually break though?
Oh yeah, 2 of it broke.
Okay.
Like it beat us so bad we couldn't go to school for a whole week.
Wow. Wow. Coming from someone who said he was sick.
Yeah.
Well, that's a typical African parent.
He would beat and sit down, and he made pap for himself, and he would drink the pap and come back to beating us and say, you said you want to listen. I will teach you people lesson today.
Okay. Was that...
So that could be regarded as a physical abuse.
Okay, I just didn't want to say it myself.
Yes.
Okay.
That could be regarded as physical abuse. And then we have what we call sexual abuses, where we have we hear very interesting stories of late where we have parents sleeping with their kids. We have neighbors of 20-something years old sleeping with a 2-year-old. We've got uncles and aunties. You know, a lot of times we talk about sexual abuse and we think it's only the girls that get sexually abused. I'm here to put it to you today that actually 80% of the guys you see on the street were actually sexually abused as a child. Maybe by one auntie.
By older females.
Yeah, by older females.
Wow.
It's interesting because guys don't talk about this stuff, and
I guess that should be one of the reasons why, you know, most times we'll think it largely happens to the females, because a man will really hardly come out to say things like that.
exactly, and it's happening. Like, I did the research sometime and started asking friends of mine and colleagues and saying, were you ever abused by your auntie or a neighbor?
Or house help, and all
house
that.
help when you were growing up? And interestingly, 9 out of 10 people I asked said yes. Said, oh, one auntie that used to live in our house pulled me, pulled my private part when I was gay, and trying to make me have sex with her. You know, you get to hear a lot of interesting stories. So men don't really talk about how they've been abused as a child, because actually the beautiful part is they even talk about it as if they won a medal. You know?
Why is that?
Because of our society, guys tend to see having sex at whatever age they are as some sort of victory.
Whoa.
So it's not seen as psychological abuse on the child. It's seen as for the guy, it's seen as sexual, oh my God, I was just with my auntie. Oh my God, I was just with my neighbor, my hot neighbor.
So that mindset I think it should be corrected.
Yeah, it should.
Because I mean, abuse is abuse.
Because that's why it turns into a lot of things in the future. Because abuse is abuse, and it works backwards on your psychic. It makes you hack. I don't know if you've read the book that is written Why We Hack the Way We Do. A lot of things that happen to us, because we all come in plain here. We come into the world's plain. We don't have any form of attitude. So when you see someone that is very quiet, you say, "Oh, she's very quiet. Oh, that girl is very quiet. She doesn't talk much." She was never like that. Oh, that guy is talkative. He was really never like that. Oh, that guy is jumpy. They were really never like that. Most of the time when you see someone that is quiet, it's because the person have been told over the years, keep quiet. Keep quiet. Or she's trying to say something, and to his parents or amongst his aunties, and that's why you notice that most people that are quiet like that are either firstborns or last childs. Because the firstborns are trying to get their parents' attention, trying to get their aunt's attention, but everybody else is busy with something else. And they go, keep quiet, I'm coming back to you. So over the years, they tend to just keep all their thoughts to themselves.
Okay.
Or the little ones that have older siblings, and they want to talk to their siblings, and then everybody, they sit there playing game, and like, I'm coming. They're busy with other things, and they can't get anybody's attention, so they kind of now start living in their own mind. And they grow up to be like that, and then they say, oh, she's an introvert, she doesn't really talk to people.
Not knowing there was circumstances surrounding that person's childhood. Okay. Now you mentioned neglect. You know, one would hardly think, well, like personally, until when I started reading up on things like this, one would not be quick to include neglect, as part of child abuse. Why is that?
I'll tell you a story of a friend of mine when it comes to child neglect. I grew up in Ibadan, and there's this neighbor of mine that his mom was very good. We all love her because she was a doctor, and she works in Saudi Arabia. And then whenever she comes back from Saudi Arabia after 6 months, she comes with all the goodies, sweet chocolates, toothpaste, And then I think that was the first time I saw Colgate toothpaste. It comes with so many good stuff, t-shirts, and just because from abroad, we all love her. Mommy Nike. We're all around her. But then for the kids, it was different. we went to school and we had our snack packs in school. They came to school with biscuits. So we had boiled yam, we had fried eggs, we had something to eat.
You had
breakfast.
food variety.
Yeah, we had varieties. And then they come to school with just their biscuits and a bottle of water and a little money to buy snacks in school. And what I noticed afterwards was that these guys developed this hatred towards their mom that we all love. Auntie's back. And for the children, you left us and go to work because of money. You left us as a maid. Mom is never around, dad's never around.
So neglect in this sense is not even not physically providing stuff that they need. It's emotional in this case.
Emotions. Everything is connected. Our emotions are connected to everything. So you see, a child starts feeling neglected. That's one case scenario. So that scenario is one I've mentioned when I was saying a child is trying to talk to his parents, trying to open up his parent, and the parents are not listening because they are busy with other stuff, real stuffs, genuine stuffs. Like a woman is busy with her trade. The father is running up and down just to pay the school fees, but they don't really have time for their kids, and then they feel they're just fine with the uncle, they're just fine with the auntie. There's a way there's a wrong emotions it creates with the kids, whereby they start distancing themselves, start getting angry unnecessarily. So that's when you hear, I'm sorry to say this on radio, but then when you hear people that say that are of the opinion of single moms, you see a young child in university and say, no, I just want to be a single mother. I just want to be It's not normal. I'm sorry to say for people that believe it's a thing.
Well, I'm sure they will have their reasons. Some of them will say
we all have reasons why we act the way we do.
Okay.
For example, I used to be very angry. I used to be very, very angry. I was so angry while I was in high school. And if they were giving awards, I would have been given the most angry child. I would have been called Angry Bird. And what were things that happened? I lived in a family where all my uncles and aunties stayed in my house. I was the only one that was sent on an errand. So everybody wants to buy stuff. Oh, Yinka, come and go and buy me this. Yinka, come and go and buy me that. Yinka, come and go. But then to them, they thought, oh, Yinka was lovely. He would always go whenever you sent him. But I didn't have a choice.
Okay.
So then I'll take the money. I'll be so angry because we're all watching the same cartoon.
But you were the youngest,
yes,
at least.
We're all watching the same movie. For example, I don't know when they used to show Ultimate Power, all those old Father Yoloro movies then. Everybody's stuck to the TV. And someone turns and says,
the only one that will be called out.
You can go and come and buy me Coke. I will run as fast as I can, so angry. And being angry became part of me. So you touch me unnecessarily, I'm like, what is it? What is it? And someone calls me just to say, in my subconscious, I'm thinking you want to send me on an errand. Can't you just leave me alone? Can't you just leave me alone? And I know that affects some of my relationships. And then another abuse that we have, apart from the neglect that's an abuse, another important, very, very important one, apart from the physical abuse, apart from the emotional abuse, we also have what we call the what we call the sexual abuse, physical abuse, and the emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is quite critical, and a lot of our parents do it. We abuse our children so much emotionally that we don't know how much damage we're doing to them. You hear parents screaming on the top of their voice on their children and cussing them out. You will not be well with you. You're no good. And it never used to be like that. And remember when we were growing up, and our parents get so angry. They will get so angry. If I can say it in Yoruba, the way my mom says.
Well, you're going to have to translate. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. As she wants to say, Omolori Bruku. That means a child with a bad head. No, that's just direct translation. Like,
okay,
you've got a bad future, you have a bad aura. But she would say Omolori, and then the child, she's so angry. You can tell she's so angry. And she say Omolori, like Olorire means someone with good
more like the opposite of the other one. Okay.
So instead of using the bad words, you can tell they are angry. Omolori, you're gonna go. It was one of my neighbors actually used to call her when she's so angry. So, you this lawyer, you this doctor, instead of using abusive words.
Okay.
But then our parents have. So I don't know what's our society, but our parents have gotten so used to using negative words on their children. Maybe parents should also understand that for children, our parents are the people that we look up to for validation every time. I know how much I look up to my parents for validation when I was growing up. If I was second in class, I won't feel like I had second until my father said that was a good job. Because if you look at second and say, so you can't be first, I wouldn't even feel good about being second. Because we look up to them for so much value. And that's why when a parent says to a son or a daughter, say, I'm very disappointed in you, it sinks down. It's like you put a dagger through his heart. And then if that little word, I'm so disappointed in you, can make so much damage, and the guy will just go back into his own corner in his shelf and there be crying, how much do you think it does when you sit him down and abuse and insult and curse his life out?
Interesting. So there are actually so many things that parents get to do, whether knowingly or unknowingly to them, and it could constitute abuse. Now, over time, it's like, like I said from the beginning, that sometimes it's as if these things come back to haunt these children. It's like you keep living in the past. There are things, I remember sometime you told me that, while growing up, because of a certain behavior from parents to the children, when they grow up, they never really liked the parents because of those things. Now, when someone is in a situation like that, how easy is it to just forgive, forget, and move on? Because some people seem to be stuck in the past.
Yes. Look, forgiving and forgetting is a big deal to moving forward, and it's not as easy as it sounds.
Okay.
People can say, "Oh, I've forgiven him."
Yeah, I mean, like, you're an adult now. You can control your mind. You make your own decisions at this point. So why hold on to something that was done to you in the past?
Yes, because it's an emotional sink. It's been a deposit over the years. It's almost impossible for you to take a whole bowl or a whole tank of deposit and throw it out to leave it empty. So, yeah, people say, I forgive you. I forgive you. I don't have anything. I don't want, like, for example, children say, I forgive my parents. I just want to move on with my life. And the next thing you hear them say is that they should not cross my paths. Is that really forgiving? Because there's still this is what happens. We can say we forgive. Forgetting is hard. So I can look at you with tears in my eyes and say, you know what? You hurt me so bad when I was growing up. You spoke so much bad words to me. You sexually abused me. But for the love of God, I forgive you. Which we always do, because we always use God to. I forgive you. Let bygones be bygones.
And I mean, generally, nobody wants to, have their parents as enemies per se. So you would just naturally want to just say it, perhaps for saying sake.
For saying sake, yes. And because sometimes we actually mean it that because we want someone distant to be behind me. Well, unconscious. This is the interesting part. It's been an emotional deposit over the years. It takes a process to wipe off the slate. So just because it has become who you really are, who you are now. So to change that thing, it takes a whole process. It's like brainwashing yourself. And that's why people need psychologists, people need coaches. That's why we encourage people to go to religious homes like churches and mosques, because it helps.
Can they really? I mean, I remember one time, having someone on the show like this, and she says, well, if you're talking about like a trained psychologist and someone who's more of taking things from the spiritual angle, like there are two different things. Each would have their own input, but then like you still need both. You can't get all from for instance,
one
spiritual.
What I like to say is that pastors should stop thinking they're psychologists.
Okay.
That should psychologists stop. Psychologists also should have to stop thinking that they can do the spiritual part of it.
Okay.
Because there are two different things entirely. For example, when you go and visit a psychologist, what they try to do is to reset you, is to do a mental reset of your system. What priests and churches and mosques do is to do you the spiritual reset.
Okay.
And what do I mean by saying that? Like when you go to a psychologist, what we try to do is to reset your way of thinking. It's to do a little diversion of how you feel about a particular
Experience.
For example, someone comes to me and says, I'm scared of dogs. I can't stand dogs. And people think it's normal to be scared of dogs. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. See, if you, it's as simple as that. For example, yeah, I was saying yesterday that in Africa we are so scared of cats. Cats, yes. So I'm Yoruba. As a Yoruba man, when you look up your fence in the middle of the night and you see a cat staring at you on your fence and staring at your window like this with those shiny eyes, one of the things you want to do is run away. You see people start praying. And I say, hey, they've come for me from my village. They have found me. They finally found me. And start going to all their spiritual fathers and pastors and imams and say, hey, see what happened?
See, well, people have had their experiences with these things over time, I think. And so it just created, I don't know, it just created this thing that once you see it, there's something evil associated with it.
Exactly. That's what we're saying. You just explain exactly what we're saying. Because over the years, people have had experience, we've heard stories. And has formed their thinking in a particular way.
Okay.
So it has made you think a cat. Once you see a cat, or a black cat.
Black one.
Black cats are beautiful, for heaven's sake. So once you see a black cat.
Not many people will agree with you on that, but I understand.
Once you see a black cat, it means trouble. It means, because we've heard stories over the years. But does that mean that my pretty, adorable black cat is evil?
Okay, so what you're trying to say is what basically the psychologist does is to try to say, okay, this has been your line of thought on this issue. Why don't you see it differently?
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Now, these experiences that we're talking about, people having all kinds of different kinds of abuses from when they were little, is it different with, gender? The effects, do they come differently based on the fact that this is a woman? I mean, if you were a girl and then looking at your type of abuse, and then this is a boy and now he's a man, these effects, are they different or almost like the same things?
In my line of work, I've come to realize that the effects are a little different.
Okay.
Harder in male and stuff. Yeah, on the contrary, I know people think. Okay,
so explain how.
Because on the average, a man bottles up a lot of things.
Okay.
So he's sexually abused. A man can be sexually abused for 20 years and nobody will know about it. You've got to put a gun to a girl's head or scare her about something. Or tell her you'll be disgraced. And before she keeps quiet about being sexually abused. Or being abused physically. Or you've got to be, there's got to be some form of threat. Something that she doesn't want to come out. So, and because women are more expressive, so women express a lot of their emotions in tears, in finding someone to talk to, in finding someone to hold. What guys do every time is to bottle it all in until one day it busts. And that's why we find a lot of our men beating their wives. When you see a man bashing up his wife, it's not normal. So when people like this come to my office and say, my husband has been beating me up for about 5 years, the first thing I want to do is I want to meet your husband. And I don't want to talk about why you're beating your wife. I want to talk about your childhood. I want to talk about how you grew up. What happened? What were the things that happened to you in primary school, secondary school? Why do you see a woman as a punching bag and not a precious, and something precious? When did your thinking about a woman change? So by the time you're able to figure out what exactly the problem, so it's like a big circle. Our lives are like a big circle. So you draw it out in a big circle, making like in a pie of 8, and then you pick out one pie out of it, and then turn the pie again to a big circle. So for example, you talk to a guy and like, oh, sir, welcome. I understand you've been having problems in your relationship. And the guy will go, my wife is terrible. She doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know how to talk to me. She doesn't know how to do this. And out of that one, you pick one. Yeah, everything is true. Doesn't know how to cook. Doesn't know how to talk to me. Doesn't know how to respect me. Doesn't know how to do this. Then you pick one. Let's say she doesn't know how to cook. You pick it out. So why do you think she doesn't know how to cook? Hey, it's because she's not careful. It's because she's watching Telemundo or Z World. It's because she's doing this. And then you pick one. So why do you think watching Telemundo is a problem? And until you're able to get to the root of the matter, probably find out one way or the other, somewhere where it was little. His perspective about the woman gender had changed. He has seen himself as the domineering factor in the house, as the boss, and could kick anything around. Or he had been beaten so badly, and all he could do is to respond now by punching. So a lot of times when you see a child in school, for example, in high school, and you see one of these guys that were bullies, look back about 10 years, look back 10 years. Go check their homes, go check their neighborhood.
Yeah. What you say now sounds like you're partly answering a question I wanted to, to have asked, which is about the difficulties that, these child abuse survivors currently face. Now, I mean, from what you're saying now, if based on their previous experiences, I mean, they can begin to reenact these things even in their current relationships.
Exactly. So, and it's this interesting that based on what they've experienced, they react to the same thing. For example, I make a joke about this little stuff. If you see someone that grew up in Kaduna, let's look at Nigeria for example. Someone grows up in Kaduna, educated, grew up in Kaduna, and is driving on the street of Abuja. If someone tries to run him down driving, he wouldn't wind down his window and scream at the person. The possibility of him doing that is less than 80%. As in less than 20% of him winding down, say, your father, you're this, you're that, and abusing the person and fighting. You will not really see that for people from Kaduna. But then if you look at someone from Lagos mainland, the first thing he wants to do is,
just giving all kinds of insults.
Yeah. Because and most of the time it's unconscious.
Okay.
And so it's what they've experienced. So like I say, everything is like a deposit of stuff. Like our knowledge base, for example, what we learned in primary school, secondary school, university, are like knowledge sitting down on each other. So you might not really remember what you were taught in secondary school, but a day will come where it will be available for you. That information page will be opened up and be available for you. The same thing with our emotions. And that's why we talk about depositing positive emotions in people. So for example, let's say I come into your studio now and say, hey, how are you doing? I give you an apple and I tell you, oh, you're looking so beautiful. Look at your nose, look at your eyes, and I walk away. And even though all you do is, thank you very much. Or let's say I come to your office and I'm leaving, and every time I pass, I throw you a bar of chocolate. Every time I see, I throw you a bar of chocolate. The next time I come to your office and I say, oh, excuse me, I need to fill up a document and I don't know how to do it. Could you help me? You will gladly do it.
Because you have been nice.
Because over the time, I deposited positive emotions.
Okay.
Towards you, nice emotions. So you want to repay back the same feeling that you've got over the time. But if all I do is, when I pass, I say, look at your big nose, look at your big head, look at your big this, look at your big, and I abuse and I insult, why is the office so dirty? Or why are this or this? Every time I'm depositing negative emotions. So when you need to get back, unconsciously for the person, it will tell you, I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to do it. And when other people ask, why did you do it? I don't know, I just don't like the man.
Okay.
So it becomes part of it's become a deposit. So it's the same thing that comes to emotions. So when you see people acting anyhow as adults, like sometimes you see some men, I say, I can't believe it's you. Or you see, yes, some women do something and go, how did you get yourself to that point of doing all this? Especially when you see young girls on the street as prostitutes or call girls or whatever you call them. I've taken time to speak to a few of them. My time, and so a lot of them come up to me with genuine reasons why they're into what they're doing. And they say, oh, I've got 3 brothers at home. My mother is in the village. My father is dead. I'm the only girl, so I have to come to the city to come and hustle for the other guys in the village. But then I'm sure most of us know some other girls that have the same conditions and are working their butts off, working for 25,000 naira per month, trying to make sure everything still works. So what's now the difference between the two? If you check the one that's working her butt off, probably has values that have been deposited over the years, work ethic values over the years, And she says to herself, I'd rather walk myself to death than to go and cheat someone. And the same thing with our society. Over the years, we've seen our politicians flaunt money all around, and money had become something you can get by not working. So our young generation now are thinking, why do I have to work? The guy working in the bank is going to say only 80,000 naira. If I press my computer, if I do this, I'll get
more.
1 million naira in one month. So why would I have to go and suffer? So they're all a deposit of emotions.
So the way people generally react now, whether in relationships or the kind of individuals they become, says a lot from what has happened to them in the past.
Exactly.
How do we get to know, all of this? If, you're a friend to this person and someone has this kind of behavior, how many people are exposed to this? Before we get to that, though, let's go on a quick break. We'll come back and I'm sure you'll answer that. Stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1. The program is The Violated on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, and today we're looking at the effects of child abuse in adulthood. I've been speaking with Anyola Yinka. He is a cultural and behavioral change life coach, and we've been talking quite a lot. Time has just gone by. I had to just realize that. So you were... Okay, I think at this point, let's focus. Looking at the time that we have, let's focus more on what can be done. You mentioned, I was earlier trying to ask how people around would even notice that perhaps why this person is reacting the way he or she is doing is because of where he or she is coming from. But then, how can they cope with this? Does it get any better? Is there healing? Yes, okay, I think that should just be it first. Is there healing for this kind of situation?
Oh, yes, there is healing for this kind of situation, and then there is hope. Hope is alive.
Okay, there's hope.
Hope is alive. One of the things I want to tell people not to do, that people like to do, is to wish it away. Say, you know what, I'm always angry. I'm always angry. I just wish I would not be angry again. And then they keep putting on their new resolutions. They say, you know what, this year I will not be angry again. I'll not be an angry person again. You can't just wish it away. You got to seek help. Seek help.
Where? How?
All right.
Going for therapy.
Well, I think you should go for therapy. Seek therapy.
How responsive are people to this? Is when you talk about that, go and see a psychologist. Well, you're a life coach. It may sound better, by better now I mean they will not be thinking, okay, I'm going to see a psychic, like a psychologist or psychiatrist, because I'm sick in the head. Because that's just like the idea many people would have.
The word psychology had been given an interesting meaning in Africa.
Okay, yeah.
When you go to see a psychologist, say you're going to see a shrink. Mm-hmm. Something's wrong with your brains, but not. I decided to start seeing a shrink myself some years ago, about 12 years ago.
Okay, like just call it psychologist.
A psychologist about 12 years ago. And why did I go to see a shrink? Or a psychologist. I don't say shrink again.
Yeah.
I mean psychologist. You know, and I go to him and all I want to do, I just want answers to questions. And I had religious questions, I had political questions, I had purpose questions, things that were bothering me. I knew that if I let it grow beyond what it was without seeking answers, it could turn to something else. Like I wanted to know why I was here. I don't believe I just came here to go to school and then to get married, have children, and die. What's my purpose? I wanted to know. I wanted someone to guide me. And that's what psychologists do. That's what life coaches do.
Okay.
We don't actually tell you what you don't really know. We only help you amplify what you already know about yourself. So I think you should seek help. Secondly, I think you've got to start learn there's an act of forgiveness. You've got to go through a process of forgiving the person, probably a perpetrator, probably the situation that got into that fix.
You're talking about the situation of visiting the past.
Yes.
In very real terms.
Exactly.
Physically seeing this person that perhaps, if we're talking about maybe sexual abuse, go see this person as an adult and talk.
But for most cases, you really don't have to go see the person for talk.
Okay.
But then talking to someone about it goes a long way in helping.
And that someone could be a psychiatrist,
a psychologist, a trusted hand, someone you know. A lot of people think that we're saying go see a psychologist because psychologists are looking for money. No. Go find go meet your pastor. Go meet your priest, someone you trust.
Okay, so friends, because another question I would have asked is now how can people around help? Maybe family members or friends. How can they help? If, for instance, some of them may have knowledge of some of these things that their friends have been through, from childhood, how can someone like me help if I come to know that a friend of mine has been through this kind of situation?
Let me give you an example. I have a friend. He has been so sexually abused when he was growing up that right now he cannot stay with a girl. So he's with one girl this week, another girl next week, another girl next week. And it's gotten so bad because he's my friend. And people say, show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. True.
He's right.
So when I realized, I noticed this trend. I first thought it's just a normal playboy. He's just been an Abuja playboy. And no. This is not about Abuja playboy. There's a problem here. There's a problem here. So I started looking for information on how to help. Because when you don't know the source of your problem, and most of the people that are affected actually don't know the source of the problem. And that's why we actually advise that you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist. Because they're able to take you through the process whereby we're able to find out what the problem really is, where it generated from, and then you can deal with it. And then that's when you now start talking about going to meet the person, like going to meet your mother that practically left you alone for years and didn't care about you, and go give her a piece of your mind. Mommy, I love you so much, but you hurt me so badly.
Okay, so that talk you're saying is actually therapeutic. It can help.
Yeah, but then you have to have gotten to a point where you have forgiven the person.
Okay.
So this point is, when you're talking to the person, is about letting go.
Okay.
Like when you letting something off your heart and you go. And they go.
Because it's also possible that the perpetrator may not think that you've come to that awareness of the gravity of what they have done to you. So maybe when you also tell them that, see, I understand what you've done.
Exactly.
However, I'm willing to let it go.
And most of the time, most people are smart enough to just go, I'm sorry. How can I help? What can I do to help? And what I hear, but just leave me alone. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay, we're so pressed for time at this point, but let's just see if we can get in a call or two. If you're listening and you want to participate, you want to ask a question, or you just want to share a contribution on what you think about the topic so far, feel free to call the number 081 8999 1011. That's 081 8999 1011. We're looking at the effects of child abuse in adulthood, how it manifests itself in different ways of life, and what can be done, most importantly, to ensure that one really completely forgets about that bad experience and move on in life. So if you want to share your own story, I think we have a little time for a short story. If you have anything you want to talk about that has to do with the topic, feel free to call in And share your thoughts. 081-8999-1011. That is the number to call. Now, while we're waiting for a call, you're talking about talking to.
Yes. Another thing, one of the things that we also can do for people is to find positive anchors. And what do I mean by positive anchors? For example, if you know that you've been abused and then it's affecting you in a particular way, look for other people that you want to be like. Because one of the things you have to first understand that you have to first know there's a problem.
Okay.
So most people don't even know they have a problem. Like someone that gets angry every time does not even know. They say, I'm just an angry person. You have to first understand that, okay, this anger thing, this...
Like it's something you should take a time and ask yourself, why do I always get like this?
Yes. Why do I always get like this? Exactly. Because most of the time, what we actually itemize for ourselves, we itemize the things that we want to do, the good things we want to do.
Okay.
We don't list out the things we want to take away. So you see people writing resolutions that say, I want to have this amount of money by the end of the year. I want to build this kind of house. They don't say, oh, I want to stop being angry. Oh, I want to go from having 6 boyfriends to having 1. I want to stop having extramarital affairs. I want to stop. Those little things that constitutes how we feel. So I think people also should look for positive anchors. Look for
friends like mentors.
Mentors, yes.
Someone to look up to.
And friends that you think you can actually share your thoughts with. People you can, like for example, growing up, I had a bad habit. I was always borrowing money from everyone. Like, even when I don't need the money, can you borrow me? I borrowed everybody's
really?
But then, after a while, a friend called me and said, one of my best friends. Okay, that's why I met my best friend. Come and said, I won't take this anymore. You always borrow money, even when you don't need money. Why do you always keeping everybody's money to yourself?
Okay, but quickly, really, why were you doing that?
I don't know.
Oh, just for the fun of it.
It was just... Then,
okay.
I told him one day, I said, you know what? I needed to keep me accountable. So, you monitor my money for me. You make sure I don't borrow money from anybody. And I don't think about borrowing money.
Okay. So
it became a positive anchor. So when I was like, I want to buy this shoe, but I don't have the money for it. Like, do you have to borrow it? Do you have to? So we all have to find someone that we're accountable to, especially in that area where we need help. So you're getting angry so badly, find someone you can always dial the person's number and say, you know what, I'm about to kill somebody. Can you talk to me right
okay,
now?
Don't get to that. All right, and I just lost the call here. I would have really loved to hear from some of our listeners this afternoon, but let's just see. We have 2 minutes to go. Let's see if a call can come through in this 2 minutes. If it doesn't, well, it will have to be next time on the program. The number is 081-8999-1011. That's 081-8999-1011. Okay, let's see. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome. What's your name?
Okay, fine. My name is Audrey. I'm calling from Guarempa.
All right, quickly, we don't have a lot of time. What's your contribution? No, this was not supposed to happen, really. Okay, let's see if the call will come right back and we get to hear at least, whatever your contribution is. I've been speaking with Ayanola Yinka. He is a cultural and behavioral change life coach, and he's been helping us to see some of the things, why people react or behave the way they do sometimes. Okay, another call is coming in. Hello? Hello?
Yes,
You need to stay away from your radio. What's your name?
my name is Abigail, calling from Sauda.
Okay, Abigail, please turn off your radio. Okay. Queen has been showing me the sign to just round up. I think she's behind why these calls were not connecting. Queen, I'll see you later. You will explain yourself. Many apologies to those who tried to call in but then could not have a secured connection. We'll do this sometime next Sunday, God willing. But it's been great having you and Yola
Thank
on
you
the
very
program
much.
today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for all the insight. Well, who knows? Someday we may just have you again on the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, and many thanks to the listener. We'll do this again next Sunday. In the meantime, stay right here. Music Activists will be up in the next hour. Keep it here on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM.